Hello and welcome to More Than Footy, your official Sydney Swans podcast, brought to you by Bing Lee. I'm Tom Chadwick.
I'm Caitlin Scolari. It's great to be back after a bit of a disappointing result in Gather Round, although the whole weekend was a spectacle.
It was a fantastic weekend, wasn't it? We obviously had the Sydney Swans Gather Round breakfast and the getaway to the Barossa, and you went down to Bird in Hand.
Had a lovely time at Bird in Hand with our partners. So
How was it? Good?
Very good. Nice weather, great weather for a winery.
It felt like summer, didn't it? But
it sure did.
Of course, we turn our attention to the game on Easter Sunday against Port Adelaide, and one man who is going to be there is our former senior coach in John Longmire. John, thanks for coming on.
Good to be with you guys.
How's retirement?
I'm getting used to a different tempo, be fair to say. I've been enjoying it. It's just it's so much different to what I'm being used to. It's amazing. So particularly at the end of the week, normally Fridays over the last 22 years has been, okay, you've done the work during the week, but you get to 5 o'clock Friday and you know work's actually just getting started for the weekend, whereas I'm actually genuinely winding down now come Friday. So it's a bit different.
That's good. And spending more time with the family, are they enjoying it? Are they not enjoying it?
Well, it's a very good question. The kids said to me I need to get a hobby. And my wife said to me I take up a lot of space.
That's lovely.
Thanks, Shelley.
Yeah, that was nice. So it's so they've got their own rhythm. You know, they're adults. Our kids are young adults, and so they've got their own rhythm. But I've always been spending some good time with them, and obviously with Shelley. But it's probably more about the quality time. It's not so much. I'm not thinking the whole time. The whole time you're with them before was just thinking, and so you weren't really with them, and so now it's more about the quality of time we're spending together now, which is when I'm there, I'm actually really there for probably the first time in a long time.
Now, off the top, I was taking the mickey saying you are retired. Tell us about your new role, Executive Director of Club Performance. What does that mean?
Working with Tom Harley and the board, and a bit more in the corporate area than certainly nothing to do with the football area now, which is it's a big change for me. Just getting used to another way of doing things from day to day, and I'm really enjoying it. Just thinking about different things, not sort of thinking about someone's tight calf, or are they going to do 10 minutes of training or 15 minutes of training, or just the little things. And so we've been sort of doing a fair bit of work there on. We launched the Sydney Swans Institute last week, and I'm just looking forward to doing some other things and enjoying that different stimulus.
Yeah, you mentioned the Sydney Swans Institute. Can you tell us a bit more about what the program is? Yeah,
we're running different programs to many corporates and individuals as well. So we've built a number of different programs on our website, and we've got a link with University of New South Wales, which is fantastic, and we've been we're doing those programs for about 12 months now, or 18 months, and they've been really popular. We run them here at Sydney Swans HQ, which is an awesome facility right next to the SCG, and just found so much interest in it to be able to people come out, spend some time in our facility amongst our men's and women's athletes, and I really enjoy what we've got to offer. So we're looking at the next stage of that.
Mm-hmm. It's a massive change from being a head coach and a coach essentially for 20 odd years, but you've gone straight headfirst into this Sydney Swans Institute. Why are you so passionate about it?
Well, we've been talking about it. I spoke about it with Tom Harley about 6 years ago when we were sort of building this, or looking to build this new facility. We're talking about what the possibilities could be for this new facility, and we started sort of exploring some of the programs we could run out of here, knowing the location's ideal, just out of the city and just right next to the SCG, and what we could do with it. And it started then, and I went to Harvard a couple of years ago, and I couldn't believe they let me in. I sort of Coxie and I went to Harvard.
Same here. Shocked.
Well, I said to Coxie as we were walking through the gates, I said the alarm will go off in a minute. Security guards are going to come from everywhere asking me, "What are you two doing here?" But we went there, and we found that was really stimulating, an executive course that we did there, and we came back and thought, we could do similar things. Not obviously with the Harvard name. The Harvard name's quite unique in the learning world, so it wasn't so much about that. But how can we develop programs and run them here out of the Sydney Swans? And Drew Arthurson, our CEO, has done a wonderful job in developing some of the programs. So it's been really interesting learning a bit more about that and working with other people.
You kind of spoke about a little bit of travel you've done, but you kind of had a complete off season last year. Did you get away anywhere?
Every summer we go down to Yarrawonga. We've got my wife and I are from down there. I'm from Corowa. She grew up in Mowala, and so we've got family down there. We get down there and get out in the boat. And I don't spend much time skiing, Chatty. You'd be shocked to know about that. There's not a big enough boat to pull me out of the water, but
you need a boat per car.
You need a Princess Cruises ship.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's true. No, that's probably the next level. You're right with that. But so I didn't do much of that. My job is to sit in the driver's seat, listen to put the tunes on. I'm in charge of the tunes, and and muck around with the kids. So I really enjoyed that. And
what's on the playlist?
Bit of everything. A couple of years ago, I was in the top 5% Post Malone listeners throughout the world. So
when I've got I could not believe that.
Well, why not? I've got a wide breadth of different genres.
Which we're going to get to.
And I did take great pride in when our players were doing the warm up here at Sydney Swans HQ. And if I heard a bit of rubbish music, and particularly music that didn't have any words in it, I'd take over the tunes, and I didn't have many sort of disappointed. They were quite happy with the playlist I had.
Just touching a little bit more on what Caitlin asked. So you went to Yarrawonga, but you also went to Europe, and I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is where this sort of epiphany came, where you thought, no, I reckon I'm done with coaching and keen to try something different. Talk us through that moment of clarity when you actually went, nah, that is it. Was it over a beer with your lad? Was it, talk us through it.
Well, it wasn't just one moment. Yep. It's the last contract that I signed here with the Sydney Swans was going to be my final contract here at the Sydney Swans as a coach, because it was I just thought there comes a time, and I've been so fortunate to be here for such a long period of time. I didn't want to push my luck, to be honest, and I was very much part of a transition coaching arrangement under Paul Roos, and I saw the advantages of that, and I wanted to be able to play my role in that. And I thought that was part of my responsibility, was to be able to make sure that the club was in great shape, which I knew that it was, and moving to this new facility was almost not the end point, but it was almost at that point of getting to this into this great area to work in, and was terrific. The team was fantastic. I just felt that now was the right time, and I got I think it was halfway through last year, and we were 12-1. We were absolutely flying, playing some wonderful footy, but that was in the back of my mind. Now, it certainly wasn't the forefront of what I did. I was still coaching probably as good as I ever have, I think, in the last 12 months. Our players were coming through, but I just was very, very mindful of making sure that if I went, it was a year too early rather than a year too late. I didn't want to push my luck. I'd been so fortunate to have so many great people and experiences and relationships at this footy club that I thought a year early rather than a year late was probably the best way to do it. And I went overseas, as you said, and spent some time over there, and split the G with my son on a Guinness or two, and spent some time with my son, which I haven't spent a lot of time, quality time with my kids. And I spent 2.5 weeks travelling with him, and I said to him one night in Manchester in a pub, I said, I think it's about done. And that was it, yeah.
Was there any discussions with either Andrew or Tom trying to convince you to stay, or they were kind of supportive from the get-go?
Oh, I've spoken to Tom about it all the way through, as far as, we were quite, we think one of the things about an organisation it should do is it shouldn't have any shocks. Certainly I've seen the benefit of good planning and been a benefactor of good planning myself. So I needed to be able to make sure that we had a great runway, and for two reasons. One is for the football club, and the other part for my family. So you need to be mindful of that. And that's just modern footy, or it's modern management, really. It's it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. I think it was, if you can have those conversations with the CEO, you're very fortunate. And so when I got back, I had towards the end of the year, I had a conversation with Tom that I thought I could, probably do another year, get to the end. And but when I got back, I just knew that I'd be probably forcing a little bit too much, and I just needed to rest and needed to regenerate a bit. And the club was in great shape. The club was in awesome shape. We played some of the best footy I've ever seen last year, and so exciting. And some of the great, the 7 sellout crowds that we hit at the SCG, record membership. Yeah. I thought now's probably a good time to hand the baton over to Coxie. And I spoke to Tom and Andrew the next day when I got back and said, I'm done. I think they were probably a bit shocked that I'd actually come to that decision. I think they might have thought that I'd go away and come back and I'd be okay. But it took a bit of time for them to digest it, I guess.
And so how's the transition been? Are you a good watcher of football? Are you nervous? Yell at the TV? Do you find you slip into coaching mode as well when you've been watching?
I'm okay at home, except I've only been to 2 games. I went to the first game and I watched there, and you can't help it. It's hardwired in you when you're at the game to watch it as a coach, and so it's very hard for me to enjoy the footy when I'm at the footy at the moment. I mean, that'll sort of change over time, but I'm still watching it like that, and I'm still watching, like, especially when we're playing. When I'm on the couch at home, it's a bit different, except for the last 10 minutes of the Fremantle game. When I was just hoping that we'd win the game for Coxie to get him off the mark. So that was probably the only time it was a bit more difficult.
Yep. What traits do you think Coxie has that set him up for it to be a successful coach?
Oh, there's a number. He knows football inside out. He knows tactically. He's very sharp tactically. I've worked with him very closely over a long time. He's very smart tactically. He's got great relationships with the players, really strong relationships with the players. That's what underpins everything in my view. And so those things, he's got great ambition, but he's got great work rate, all the things that sort of you think are great starting points, and you really don't know though. And I thought I did a great apprenticeship, and after the first week I sat there and I thought, oh my God, this is a fair bit different. The big difference, the difference between coming up with a good idea as an assistant versus being responsible for the decision as a senior coach is a big gap, and you can only do that when you're in the job.
Okay then, coaching again, are you going to do it?
We are playing. We have a Sydney Swans netball team. We finished in 4th, and we've got our finals game tonight. And we are lacking a coach.
What's your assistant coaches? Have you got?
We've got no one.
No assistant coaches. What about recruiters? Have you got a GM?
I'm kind of team manager recruiter.
So this might be a scoop.
Captain coach. I could do, but
we might be revealing on the podcast John Longmire is about to coach again. Well, not at AFL level. At netball. At
social netball level.
Well, I think I might need a bit of a hand, though. I'm sort of used to delegating. That's the way it goes about it. And sort of sitting there, is there a press conference afterwards?
We can make one. We'll get Chatty involved.
Oh, no. Yeah. In fact, no. Definitely not doing it if that's the case.
Hey, what about, how's your life changed on a weekend, though? So we hear so much from the coaching department about after a game, they spend the next day sitting over tapes and reviewing the game, which takes hours and hours. Have you just generally so lucky that you've got your time back now on weekends?
Yeah, look, and I don't want to downplay how great coaching is. It's been amazing. Like there was never a day where I didn't want to get out of bed and come to work. It was just the most stimulating environment job you could ever have. It was awesome, But I just felt that to be able to the balance was probably a little bit out. And I guess it would sort of hit me between the eyes after the first game against Hawthorn. On the way home in the car, my kids said to me, "Oh, this is a bit different." And I said, "Why is that?" And they said, "Well, you're just talking after a loss." So I said, "Was I that bad?" And they said, "Yeah, you were." And then when I woke up on the Saturday morning, first thing I did was, when you open your eyes, is normally it hits you again, and you realise. You're trying to review the game. You go straight in. You open your laptop at 7:30 in the morning. You spend 2 days in front of the computer. I didn't do that. I went and watched my kids play sport all day. And for someone who's never had a weekend off in winter since they were 16, it's a fair bit different. And I enjoyed that. But I certainly don't want to downplay the challenge of coaching. It's also got some great benefits.
Yeah. What has been the most fulfilling part of your time at the Swans?
Oh, good question. There's be so many. It's really hard to list when you've been here for such a long time. Even as an assistant coach, but then as a senior coach for 14 years. There's so many. I think the overall thing. There's probably 2 things I'm really proud about. Is one is my family still speak to me. I think that's important. I think that's really important. I don't want to downplay that. I'm fortunate enough that my family still speak to me. I think that's a good thing, but also the fact that we've been competitive for this whole period of time. We've given our supporters a hope and a chance. When you turn up to most games, they think we're a real chance, and I think that's important. A player like Luke Parker has played in 26-odd finals games. Josh Kennedy, 23 or 4 or 5 finals games. Give our players the opportunity to play finals at the highest level on a regular basis, and those experienced ones to have played another season on top of their normal season, but in finals, that makes me very pleased.
Speaking of fulfilling, what about professional development? I know you mentioned earlier that you went to Harvard a year or 2 ago. Have you got anything planned at the end of this year, even if it's not work related? You're going to go away to Europe or the Greek islands with Shelley and put the bathers on and
no, we don't want that.
Colada?
I'm not sure we want that. Not at the moment. Our daughter's finishing year 12, and so that was a priority for me. Is to, I've been take from the family for quite a while, so I need to, work my flow around what the rest of the family needs for a little bit. I think I'm looking forward to that. I need to give back to them a little bit. So, she finishes year 12. That's my priority, and so we'll probably leave travel to the end of next year. Even though we'd love to do it, we'll wait until down the track. I'd love to get to Europe and have a look around there. I've never done that. I've been involved in professional footy since I was 16, so I'd love to be able to do that. Never done it, and that'll be on the agenda at some point. No question.
Yeah, we've got Port Adelaide this Easter Sunday. There's an opportunity for fans to say thank you to you and you to say thank you to the fans. How are you looking forward to that moment? Yeah,
I am. It's a bit, you got to get past is it a bit too much me being me? So I was a bit conscious of that. Yeah. But I've got so many great memories coaching in this place. So, to be able to get out on the ground and thank the supporters. I mean, I just remember so many times. I remember the Collingwood final here a couple of years ago. The place was just going right off. I mean, last year was amazing. I never experienced anything like it was last year as far as on a regular basis after the games. It was just incredible. I actually started to go out on the grounds more often last year just to soak it all in. I mean, that final against GWS last year was extraordinary. So to be able to get there and thank the supporters to be able that have been there and yelled as loud as they have, I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to sort of just a few close friends too. It's not so much about me; it's more about the thank you to everyone else.
Yeah, do you think it's going to be emotional? I know you've got a whole bunch of friends and family attending in a suite as well, and I think a lot of our fans may not see the lighter side of you or the softer side. There you go, I found the word. Do you feel as though it's going to be an emotional day?
I don't know. I guess maybe. I mean, I'm sort of, when you think of the amount of times I've been in the SCT as a coach, it's been a long time. So, I'm looking forward to saying thank you to the supporters. I mean, there's, to be able to hear the crowd and roar like they did was awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
There's one more thing I want to touch on before we play our game, and that is the cutlery crisis here at Swans HQ.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point. I'm glad you bring that up. I've been trying to find out who's responsible, and everyone's handballing that responsibility to, when I get in here in the morning, there's no spoons to have breakfast with. That's a big issue.
And you can get grumpy if you're hungry. You don't want to be near you.
He can also get very creative.
Yes, that's true. You did happen to catch me the other day with the ice cream scoop in my hand, but that wasn't.
But you weren't eating ice cream.
I can't say what I was doing. No, don't get on your high horse about things, Juddy.
Eating cereal with an ice cream.
No, we've got
desperate times.
We've got to the bottom of it, and I've been trying to find someone who's responsible. Everyone's putting their hands down, so I'm now going to.
I did fess up to having one spoon at home.
You did, and I think there's a bit of that going on. Yeah. There's a real spoon thief or thieves that are going around this place. So that's my new job, to find out what's going on with spoon thief.
All right, time to finish on a lighter note. We've got some rapid fire questions now. You can't think; you just got to answer with the first thing that comes into your head. Are we ready?
Yep. Do you want me to kick it off?
Kick it off.
Okay. Who is your favourite Swans player?
Oh. That's too big a list. That's too big a list. It changed.
Coxie even had one.
Yeah.
He had one?
Yep.
He had a favourite player.
You should know. You listen to the podcast.
I think that Josh Kennedy's the one that I was coached by his grandfather when I first went to North Melbourne as a 16-year-old, and to coach his grandson, and have his grandson captain our football club. And be really good mates with him these days I feel very fortunate. Favourite
Swans employee?
In a strange way, Chatty, really strange way, it would have to be you, because I get so much joy every day with our interactions.
I wasn't expecting
that. I was.
I was sort of, after growing up through the North Melbourne culture, and then sort of
it can't just be a compliment.
Coming across. The only thing that disappoints me is that you're still, sometimes you're walking with your Adelaide scarf on, which disappoints me a little bit, and we've got a bit of an issue there. But
yes,
anyway,
okay.
I enjoy.
Hey, if it's Swans and Crows, it's always Swans.
Yes,
they're still my sort of second team. That's okay.
That's okay.
Let's move on.
Moving kind of on that same vein. And
Speaking of
I
which.
think we know the answer to this. Your favourite non-Swans AFL team?
Well, it'd have to be the Kangas, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, 12 years there, so it'd have to be the Kangas.
Favourite public holiday, which now you'll have probably a lot more time to get away.
Can I just tell you, I've never had a public holiday, so I don't know yet. This is new to me, having public holidays. I've just generally never had a public holiday, and even in the off season, you've never had them. So I don't know. I don't know what my favourite public holiday is. I'll wait and see. Yeah.
Favourite moment at the Swans? Just one.
Oh, there's a heap. There's probably two. Can I have two?
You can have two.
The first one was obviously the 12 premiership. The second one was Bud Kitty's 1,000 goal, and not so much it was the atmosphere in the game was just mind blowing, and to be able to be a part of that, it was just incredible. But in the rooms at the time when he kicked it, trying to get a team together, and then when the siren went, and then have his family in the rooms, in the locker rooms, and have a couple of beers, and we had a photo, and it was pretty special to be involved in something so significant.
Are you still close to Bud? I know that we compared your game on Sunday against Port when you got the opportunity to say thank you and vice versa to Bud's one against Melbourne, I think it was.
Yeah.
Do you still speak to him? Are you still close?
Yeah. I'm very, very fortunate that we developed a great relationship over such a long time. I mean, he went 10 years here. We signed him up for 9. He went 10, and one of the all-time superstars. So to be able to coach him and consider him a good friend I just feel very lucky. Yeah.
Where are we? Your favourite dish?
There's not too many to rule out, as you know, Tom. Over the years, there's not too many. It's more. It should be easy to answer. What's not my favourite dish?
Okay. What do you not eat?
I can't think of that either. So I have to say one of the favourite Thai, Indian, you name it. I'm very fortunate that it doesn't take a lot to please me. Food steaks.
Okay, now reminder: no fence sitting. You have to answer. No thinking. Favourite child?
Oh, I can't. I've got one daughter and 2 boys. Not that I have any favourites, and my boys think that my favourite is my daughter. Now, that's a bit rough, but secretly, her and I have got a pretty good relationship.
Favourite footy memory? Doesn't have to be at the Swans.
It would have to be my first ever game as an AFL player. As a 16-year-old.
London.
In London, the Battle of Britain. There was 12 reports. I was straight off the farm. I met my teammates for the first ever time at the airport. And as a 16-year-old kid that hadn't been further than Albury, to be able to go to London and play on the Oval in the first game of AFL football, get coached by John Kennedy, the Battle of Britain, 12 reports, us win, and us sing the song afterwards. Be fair to say that was quite a unique memory.
And I dare say our listeners won't be surprised to hear that. Who instigated that fight?
Well, Elsa Clarkson might have something to do with it.
Clarko.
What about your favourite destination?
Favourite destination in Australia? I'd love to go back to the farm. I grew up on the farm, and so I love to go back there. My brother works the family farm, which I really enjoy. And my future current destination is, I guess, to be written. I'm looking forward to travelling a bit more. I've been to the UK and the US a lot on professional development trips, and done a lot in different areas, and met some wonderful people at professional clubs in the NBA, NFL, and soccer. I've been so fortunate. I'm now looking forward to maybe Shelley and I holding hands and walking down the beach somewhere. That's something a little bit different. So we'll get some time to do that at some stage down the track, which would be good.
Finally, just before we wrap up, weekend activity. What is your favourite thing to do on the weekend?
Right now, it's watching my kids play sport.
Oh, nice.
So it's for the first time to be able to sit back and watch my kids play sport is very simple. I'm a very simple person, Chatty, as you know, and the simple things please me more than anything.
Apart from the actual just watching them, what's the greatest joy that you get when you go and watch them play sport?
Watching them is the greatest thing, but to have a sausage in bread with onion and barbecue sauce, it's
favourite dish?
Oh well, it's got to be up there. Oh, snags! You and I are great. You
Nothing
snags, Chadwick.
Snags.
Yes, snags, and to be able to have that with a little bit of sauce dripping down the edge.
Bit of mustard.
Oh, really? Well. No, and then just sort of whack it in.
Tomato or barbecue?
Well, I'm barbecue fan, and so to be able to have that at the football, while I've got my sunglasses on and my hat, and then watching my kids play sport, that to me is bliss.
Well, John, it's been fantastic having you on the podcast. Good luck for Sunday. You deserve a great send-off, and no doubt it's going to be a great occasion for you and your family. Thanks for coming on.
Good to talk to you.
Thanks,
See you
Ross.
Hi, I'm Lionel Lee, and we're proud to be a sponsor. Bingley has been around since 1957, and I'm proud to say we're still family owned. Our team is over 720 people now, and there's one thing they all believe in. We treat our customers like their family. That's the Bingley way.